So there are some smaller companies that have already received government contracts. I mean, it's happening every other day now. But so in the past episodes, people that have watched our videos, we talked about Sidus Space, right? They make the communication systems and the small 3D printed satellites um, that communicate from the ground to the drone um, and have the whole system work autonomously. So with your example of, the missiles stick their head out of the ground like a gopher and then boom. Okay, well, so you need all these autonomous systems, the AI from companies like Paladine, right?
Right.
That's the brain for these unmanned vehicles. And then you have the eyes, which is side of space, those little satellites. So the combination altogether. So Red Cat and Paladine just completed the testing of the swarm system that's connected to what's called the Brain X technology. So the drones can swarm using AI in conflict zones. They don't have to have a guy with a remote control somewhere. The drones can actually are programmed to follow what watched over by satellites. But that was completed a couple of weeks ago. Paladine announced. Not to mention Paladine's up 30%, over 30% right now in the market. But so Paladine received, they've already received government contracts. So has Sidus Space. So has Kratos Defense. Another really under the radar one that's trading. I don't know. It's pretty small cap company. It's called XTI Aerospace, and so they have three applications for contracts out right now. But they're making vertical lift, like larger drones. Say so the AeroVironment drones. We've all seen those on TVs and movies. Those huge
Yep.
drones. But we're talking about having a larger drones that have vertical takeoff. So it's a lot more vertical or a lot more versatile. You don't need a runway, right? And so XTI Aerospace, that's been up year to date about 100%, but it's still trading very low because with these three pending applications for awards outstanding, if they were to get one of them, two of them, or even all three of them, that changes a small cap company to a mid cap company just with partial allocation of these government awards. So we haven't talked about XTI Aerospace in the past. We are now definitely one on the radar under, and that's another thing I mentioned. Like we're not looking at defense, right? We don't have political opinions about the war or things like that. I mean, it's robotics and automation, right? We've been following unmanned vehicles the entire time our fund has been out, right? And AI as well. So the majority of revenue spending that's going into just the defense space right now makes this an area of focus. And so have always liked the small companies instead of buying these huge defense or huge manufacturers. So the ones I've mentioned, XTI, Red Cat, Paladine, Sidus, Space, and even Unusual Machines, which does drone technologies. Those companies, those smaller companies, we're talking about a massive change to a balance sheet, order of magnitude if they get these awards, if they get these contracts. And so those are really where you want to focus on right now if you're going to be investing in defense. So here's the defense bucket. Let's do a subgroup of defense.
Right.
Unmanned vehicles, autonomy, and AI. So there's our subgroup. Now we take that subgroup and let's break down the companies that could move the most and have the most potential to move. Sidus Space hasn't really performed as well as it should have so far this year, but the 12-month average analyst estimated return is 392% over the next 12 months. And that's all the analysts on the street. That's their average 12-month return on site is 382%. XTI Aerospace, the average is 168% over the next 12 months. This is why I like to invest in these smaller names.
Well, and that's why we like you to invest in these smaller names.
Right.
So
Yeah.
continued success with that.